If you guys want cheap and reliable coins, check out cheaputcoins.com. I'll have a link in the description down below. It's an automated service, so you get the coins instantly. Use Fangs for a 5% discount. Hey guys, how's it going? It is Fangs, and welcome to, of course, my cat decides to go run around and jump back there when I decide to start recording. Welcome to another story that I'm going to be telling you guys today. You guys seem to enjoy these every time I've told you one. You guys smash the like button. I did do one where someone broke into my house, or when I caught them breaking into my house when I was younger. Not to mention I've done one where I thought I saw a ghost, or I mean, I did see a ghost, but I'm going to say I thought because some people don't believe in it. And today, I'm going to tell you the story. It's going to be kind of like two stories, but it's going to be mainly one story, and that is that someone attempted to kidnap me. Alright, so you're probably thinking, when you think about me starting the story, that this chick has so much random shit happen to her, and I did have a lot happen to me in my lifetime. Like, I have a bunch of stories of tons of different things, but this happened whenever I was 6 years old. I had just moved. I lived in Texas, in Waco, Texas, for the first 6 years of my life, and my mom divorced my dad whenever I was probably 2 years old. So for the remaining 4 years that I was in Texas, she was going to nursing school because she wanted to be like her own woman, independent woman. And so she went to nursing school, and then when she was done, she decided she did not want to live in Texas. My dad was on the road a lot, so he wasn't around. I mean, not that they were together or anything, but he wasn't around too often, and she had no family in Texas. She just had some friends. So she wanted to move back home to where she was from, which is from Miami, Oklahoma. I lived there from when I was 6 till I was 10, maybe 11. I'm not sure. Anyway, I lived there with her. So when we first got there, she was like all about doing everything on her own. So our first house was this house that she bought that was just this dump. It wasn't even that nice. It was a 2-bedroom. I had to share a bedroom with my brother. She painted it pink. She painted the house pink, and I'm pretty sure it had a green roof. Like, it was hideous. I don't remember what the street it was on. If you live in Miami, it was over by like the Love's gas station over by the high school that used to have a Taco Bell that probably doesn't have a Taco Bell anymore. Anyway, she painted it pink. It's also by this bar, which I think is called Jose's. I'm not entirely sure. But near the house, it was on the street. There was probably like, we were towards the end. There was one house beside us to the right and one to the left, and then some across from us. And then at the end of the street, there was a gas station. We were right by the college. NEO College is what it was, like, almost completely by. But there was a laundromat at the end of that, and then in front of the laundromat, there was this bar called Jose's, I think. I don't know why. It's probably not even called that, but for some reason, I think it's called Jose's. And so, it's a beautiful day outside. It's really pretty. She started dating my stepdad at the time, and we don't have a washer or dryer, so you had to actually go down the street to the laundromat, which was not that far of a walk. And in front of the laundromat, there was this building. I believe it was probably like a building that had like different like shopping stuff in it, maybe like a law firm. I can't even remember. It was just this white building, and it had stores in the front of it, but behind it, it was just like a blank wall and a huge open field in between that. But like the house that was near it and the building had this huge open field where you could like probably play like, I don't know, flag football or something like that in front of it. On this day though, I had a football, or what could be called a soccer ball. I'm sorry if I offended you. And I was on my bike. I know my stepdad was down. He was doing laundry at the laundromat, and so my mom was probably working or something. I don't know. She wasn't home at the time. So I decided that I was going to go out and I was going to kick this up against the wall because I had nobody to play with, sadly, at the time. I had nobody that lived on my street or no one around me. I cannot believe this cat is doing this at this time. Like, she is a showstopper right now. She's distracting me. Anyway, so I decided to get it. I get on my bike, I get my ball, and I'm, just riding one-handed on my bike, and then I go over to this field. And I'm sitting there kicking it back and forth on the wall. Like, I could kick it as hard as I could, and it would bounce off the wall and it would come back to me. So that's what I was into doing. And I start to notice this guy just kind of like slowly creeping towards me, like from across the street. I didn't know if he was coming from the bar or where he came from, but I just kind of blew him off. And from the beginning and the get-go, if you know my mom is like crazy, and she had to like make sure to warn us of everything when we were children. So one thing that we did not do is we did not talk to strangers. I did not talk to strangers. Like, even if I was at the grocery store and like someone just happened to be like, oh, do you know where like a box of Fruity Pebbles was? Like, they'd ask a 6-year-old, but I would just literally look at them like, you are the freaking devil. Like, I was just scared of everybody, which is probably a good thing because that's what ended up happening with this. So I end up going, and I'm just kicking the ball up against the wall, and he starts to walk up to me, and I'm just like, what is this guy doing walking up to me? So I get kind of creepy. I have a vibe from all ages. I've had this vibe where if someone's anywhere walking around me, they just want to fuck with me, and so I'm not gonna let that happen. And so he starts walking toward me, and I'm just like, just staring him down, like thinking like, should I start running? Should I start running right now? And he kind of gets like within, I don't know how you'd say the distance, maybe like 20 feet of me. He's like over here and he's like, hey! And I'm like, what? Because I was a mouthy 6-year-old. Like, don't think for a second that I was nothing like I was now, because I was totally like this whenever I was 6. For some reason, I had an older brother, and he just taught me how to have the worst potty mouth, and I talked back, and I was terrible. So, I sit there, and he's like, hey! And I was just like, what? You know, with the biggest attitude or whatever. And he was like, he was obviously, I think he was drunk because he was slurring, but he was like, I've got this bike that, you know, it's like sitting behind this fence over here. Because if you see like across, you could see the bar across the main road. There was a main road that goes in between there, and you could see to the left of it. I'm gonna try to find a picture of this. Hopefully, I try to drop pictures in this as I'm going. I'm gonna try to find a picture of it. There was this like fence, and he was like, I lost my bike, and I think it's behind that fence over there, and I was wanting to know if you would go over there and maybe see if it was back there. And so me, at this age, with the type of attitude I have towards strangers and the type of mouth I have, I was like, why don't you go look and see if it's back there? And then he was like, no, like, I just need you to go over there and see if it's back behind there. All you're doing is just helping me out. And so my first reaction, like, the first thing I say to him was, no, fuck you! And I started running to where my bike was. I just left my ball, didn't even care about it, started running to my bike, and he started running towards me. He started coming after me, so I was fucking in pure, like, I don't even like being chased. I don't have, like, a full-on fear. Okay, I do have a pretty big fear. I have a friend, Chris, who has, like, if you even remotely chase him, he gets scared. But I do not like being chased, so I go into freaking sheer panic mode. I try to get on my bike. He's coming, like, I think if he wasn't drunk, he would have been a lot faster, but obviously he's coming, like, at me. I don't know what he's even expecting. Like, this is broad daylight, for one. I'm not on a main street, I'm in a neighborhood, but there's people at the laundromat, and the laundromat's across, so I know my stepdad is at the laundromat. So I get on my bike, and I'm, like, having troubles getting on it, and he's running, like, he's almost right up on me. Like, was he gonna, like, grab me, and what was he gonna do? Someone was gonna see him. I have no idea what this guy was thinking, but anyway, so I get on my bike, and I just jolt off across, and he still is following me all the way over to the laundromat. And I drop the bike, I run inside the laundromat, and I go in. My stepdad's in there. He's just sitting there, like, reading a paper or something because he's doing the laundry. And so I'm like, yo, Steve, this guy's like chasing me or whatever. So my stepdad goes out there, and the guy's already like backed off and has gone on to the other side of the street. And my stepdad's like, you need to get the F out of here. I'm gonna call the cops and all this stuff. My stepdad probably wanted to beat the shit out of him, but the guy was already like taken off or whatever, and so we need to be able to call the police because obviously this dude does not need to be out there. He's already chased me down, so whatever, he's drunk, I don't know what he's thinking, but he doesn't need to be out there. So my stepdad gets in the truck, we leave the laundry there, we go back to the house because there's not a cell phone, and we call the police. And so they start to look for him, and then my stepdad, like, I told him the story, so my stepdad's like, well, he wants to see if there's actually freaking, like, obviously we know there's not a bike back there, but we wanted to go together. There was absolutely no bike behind the fence. Like, you know exactly what that guy was gonna do. Probably more than likely, if you were a dumb kid and you weren't taught correctly not to talk to strangers, you would have gone back there, and then he would have, like, probably tried to molest you or kidnap you, was what I imagine. And he ended up later in the evening or whatever, because they didn't find him at first. They ended up finding him. He ended up going to jail. He was a child sex offender. And on top of that, he had all these, like, other arrest records and stuff like that. So he went to jail. Never heard anything about him again, but it was a crazy experience. I was very lucky to get away. And the way that I reacted, like, hopefully at some point, if you ever have children, obviously you might still be young yourself. You might be 10 or 12 watching this. You don't talk to people like that. Like, you don't ever give them the time of day. And luckily I had this, like, shit attitude, and then I had this stuff like drilled in my head from my mom that I should never be anywhere near anybody that I don't know. So I was able to get away from this situation. But something semi-similar happened whenever I had to be like 19. It was my second year of college. I was only 18 actually, because I went to college. I started when I was 17. It wasn't completely similar, like the guy didn't talk to me or anything like that, but I lived in this apartment complex. It's called Raiders Pass in Lubbock, Texas, and if you've ever been able to look at a picture of it, maybe I'll be able to get a screen picture of it. I lived in the very front parts of the apartment that looked into the highway that crosses over, and from right across there was the campus, and it was like the open part of the campus. It wasn't like the main part, so I wasn't completely close, but you could see the campus. And so I'm going, and I had my books from school one day, and I'm just going up, trotting, had parked my car and had just got out of the car. It was probably like 4 p.m. and I go into the stairwell, and so we're on the 4th floor at the time. It was actually Will's apartment. I didn't live there, but I stayed there a lot. He had 3 boy roommates, and so we're on the 4th floor, and so I'm like, okay, I just like come around, and behind the stairway, if you ever see like, or you know what apartment stairways look like, there's like an opening, because you can go up the stairway here, but there's always like an opening where people can put their bikes, and then underneath it's like obviously a darkness because that's the underneath of the stairs. So I didn't see anything. Like, I did not see a damn thing, and I'm just like trotting around, you know, going up, about to go up. I get on like the 4th stair, and I see this like jolt of somebody going past my eye, and I'm just like, what the and I realize that it's someone running out from under the stairs out behind me, and so I just drop my shit. Like, I drop my backpack, and I just fucking start going up the stairs as fast as I can, running up the stairs. 4 floors I had to do this, and I could hear him don't running behind me. Again, in broad daylight. What if somebody else was on the 2nd floor and saw this dude? I don't understand people sometimes. But he's chasing me all the way up the stairs. I get in, the door is unlocked, I get in and just slam it. And the only reason that it was unlocked was because Will's roommate was there. Everybody was gone, but one was there, and he was back in his room on the computer, and he had left the door unlocked. Otherwise, I would have had to work to get into the door, and then that guy would have probably attacked me or whatever he was gonna try to do. But I get in, slam the door, lock it really quick, and, you know, I get a knife. I'm like, I'm fucking doing this. And so I get a knife, and his roommate's like, what's going on? And like, I'm like, there's fucking some dude just chased me up the stairs. So he went out, tried to look for the dude. The dude had obviously got away. Like, I don't understand what his thought process was. What was gonna happen? Why was he chasing me up the stairs? Maybe he was just trying to fuck with me. But maybe something else was about to happen as well. Like, how did he even... I don't know. To this day, I still do not understand that whole part. But yeah, so, like, being chased is terrifying to me, and I think that everyone should always tell their kids not to talk to strangers. That's like one of the biggest things. So I was very lucky that day that I was able to get away from the guy, that I was very mouthy, and all of that stuff happened, because otherwise he probably would have done some terrible things to me, and I would have grown up with a lot different of I would have probably been, you know, screwed for life. Stuff like that really affects people. So if that's ever happened to anybody, if anyone's had to deal with that, I'm very sorry. But it was one of like the scariest things that's happened to me. It sticks in my mind. Like, I remember every detail and every fact of it usually. So yeah, that is gonna be it for my stories for today. Oh wait, I want to throw out one more thing. Because these things happen, and because I have this terror of Chainsaw Men, I don't know why. I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Whenever I was like, this actually happened before the second chase. This is just reminding me of the first time or whatever. Because this happened when I was like 17. I went into a haunted house, and this chainsaw dude like noticed that I was scared of him, so he started coming after me. And if someone starts chasing me, I get scared. So I started running away from this guy, and he just continued to chase me like a jerk because he probably thought it was funny, but I went into pure panic mode. And there was this like halfway fence, and I was just trying to get out of it because it was like the end of the haunted house. I went to try to jump over the halfway fence, my foot got caught on it, and I face slammed into the ground. That's how scared I am of when people do that type of stuff, and I busted my chin, and he felt terrible. But yeah, so that is going to be it for my story for today, guys. I got tons of other I could tell so many different types of like college things, stories that happened, things that I did in high school that happened, other ghost stories, other things that happened throughout my life that have been kind of crazy, because I've had a quite weird life when it comes to certain things. I went from different situations of life and different ways of living that it's just, I don't know, some stuff has happened. But that is going to be it. If you guys did enjoy this, a thumbs up would be awesome. If you want to see more of these, let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.